Tips for YouTube Success with Marques Brownlee, better known as MKBHD. So I recently finished his information-packed Skillshare course. The course is only an hour and 14 minutes long. It's not the most in-depth course that you'll ever find on YouTube, but there are a lot of great information that you'll find within this short course. The great thing with Skillshare, if you haven't signed up previously, you can get a free month using my link that I'll put down below in the description that gives you plenty of time to go through this course, YouTube Success, Script Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD, as well as the bunch of other YouTube focused courses. You can learn to edit videos, you can learn to speak to a camera, and a bunch of other things. What I want to do today is give you a quick summary of the top takeaways that I had after going through the course. Before we get into that, if you're not familiar with MKBHD, here is what his channel looks like. You can see the majority of his videos are focused around tech review, so the latest cell phones, computers. He also has a section called Tech Talks where he's interviewed people such as Elon Musk, Bill Gates, President Obama, Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, and a bunch of others. Definitely check out his channel and let's learn how to be successful on YouTube. Tip number one, understand your audience. The better you can understand what your audience is looking for and how you can best serve them, they will watch more of your content, engage with more of it, and you'll get a bunch more views on YouTube. So for Marques, he has two different audiences. The first audience are his subscribers, people who come back and watch video after video, not necessarily caring about what the topic is, but enjoying his content. The second part of his audience is someone who's looking to make a purchase right now. So for that audience, he needs to provide all of the information that they may be looking for, answer all of their questions so they can make their purchasing decision. So for you, what is your audience looking for? How can you best serve them? Make sure to spend time thinking about that before creating any content. Tip number two, write out a word for word script for your content. So this is something that we've strayed away from. I kind of write out a couple of really short bullet points, but I do run into issues sometimes where maybe there's 3 subpoints I want to make. I don't say them in order and that messes me up, and then I have to repeat something a bunch of times. And if I were to actually write everything out word for word, it would allow me to make sure that I'm making all the specific points that I want to and less kind of winging it and creating something that's much more concise and easier to watch for the viewer. So another thing that he does here of writing everything out on the notes on his phone, he'll go through it and kind of look at a section of it, deliver it to camera, look at the next section, deliver it to the camera. So what's in bold is what's going to be delivered directly to the camera. If it's not in bold, it means that he's going to add B-roll over it. So he can be looking at the text on it, reading it, because he knows that something else is going to be on screen during that section of it, which allows him to get through the script quickly. And I think for us, need to incorporate more B-roll. So write out everything word for word, know what gets delivered to the camera. If it's not something delivered directly to camera, then you can essentially read off your word for word script. Tip number 3, have a motif for your video. So this general idea that you weave through your content that ties everything together. In one of the cell phone review videos he did, last year's was a complete disaster. This year, it was all about redemption. They basically fixed everything that was wrong about the previous year's model. And this year, it's one of the top cell phones. You'll see him use the motif at the end of his titles a lot of times. So he'll hint at that idea he's going to weave through the entire video before even someone clicks on and starts watching his content. Tip number 4, show and don't tell. So he was struggling to come up with a way to show this new setting on a phone, and he realized, hey, this is something that you can actually change within the settings on the phone. So what if I show that actually happening of me changing from A to B? So whenever possible, try to visually show something as opposed to you talking about it to the camera. Tip number 5, replicate reality. So Marques Brownlee talks a lot about realism and the importance for his content. How can you show it in a way that makes it look like the real world? So if he's going to test a phone, you're going to see some third-person shots of him using the phone, some over-the-shoulder shots of what it's looked like using the phone. He'll have some shots indoors with using the phone, some shots outdoors. And so you can imagine what it would be like you holding on to this and using this particular phone. Make stuff as real as possible, especially if you're doing review videos or something that someone may want to try themselves. Tip number 6, figure out what your audience will click on. So the click-through rate is one of the most important metrics with YouTube. If no one clicks on your videos when YouTube puts it on their screen, then you're not going to get views, you won't get watch time, your channel won't get monetized, and you're not going to grow. The thumbnail and the title are 2 of the most important things, and also the topic of the video. Okay, so here's MKBHD's channel. Take a look at the thumbnails and titles and see if there's anything that stands out to you. There's very little text. Sometimes there's a number or a price or something really, really short. Also, there's this idea that having an image of a person in your thumbnails makes the thumbnail better. What they found is having the technology, whatever the video is about, being front and center was more important than him showing up in the thumbnail image. So now let's talk about the title. They're always short and concise. And what I mentioned before, the motif of the video, you'll see included a lot of times at the end of the title of his videos. So let's see, this one for the One Plus, what happened? So there's clearly this big change between maybe the previous version and this version. It's a Note. So I think, I'm not a Samsung expert, but the normal Samsung Galaxy and the Note, and maybe the Galaxy is now closer to what the Note is. So he's pointing that out there. So Marques Brownlee wouldn't be as successful as he is today if the thumbnails and titles were not what they were. So an image that clearly displays what the video is about, and a really concise but also thought-provoking title that creates curiosity and someone clicks on and wants to start watching the video. That moves me on to tip number 7, which is the hook of your video. So the first 10 seconds are the most important part of the video. That's where you're gonna see on the retention charts that you lose a bunch of your viewers. So a lot of times with the first couple of seconds, someone sees the thumbnail and title that they do a good job with, and then the hook is kind of a continuation of that, telling the viewer you're in the right place, and also you're gonna be entertained, so stick around. So the nice thing with YouTube Analytics, they have a screen that looks like this that'll rank your latest videos in terms of the best, in terms of retaining the audience for the first 30 seconds, and the worst. So definitely review this, figure out what you did wrong in your worst videos, what you did well in your best videos, try to replicate more of that so your future videos have better retention. If you can get more and more of your audience to stick through the first 30 seconds, there's a much better chance that the rest of the retention of your videos do well. If you have high audience retention, YouTube will promote your content and your channel is gonna grow. So a bonus tip from this course is, how can you include something special for your repeat viewer, for your subscribers? How can you improve that relationship, that closeness that someone feels with watching a lot of your content? And so he includes what he calls Easter eggs. So these are these little surprises that you have to be paying attention to kind of get the inside joke. So there's an example of the normal version and the ultra version of this phone. The Ultra had the nice iMac, had this nicely designed set. The normal version had an old Mac computer, had the bicycle was all taken apart, and kind of the worst version of all of the same things. I like the idea, and I'm trying to think of how do we include some type of, as he calls, Easter eggs in our content, something special that only that loyal viewer is gonna get the inside joke. Again, if you're interested in signing up for a free 30 days of Skillshare, check out the link in the description below. If you want to learn how to grow on YouTube, we have a whole playlist to help you with that. I'll link to that right here. Hope to see you in those and future videos. Bye.